Update on spring assessments.
Very good, thank you. President Byrd, members of the board, Superintendent Kellogg, and Treasurer Griffith, it is my pleasure to talk tonight about the spring assessments that are coming up here for 2016. So what we want to do is highlight various assessments that are going to be occurring this spring, but I also want to mention publicly that last school year we did an assessment inventory, and that assessment inventory is on our district website, and it provides a one-page summary on every assessment that we have in our school district. And it's 26 pages long, and feel free to read it at your leisure. But tonight we're just going to focus on these assessments here. So the first one across all grade levels is the OELPA, the Ohio English Language Proficiency Assessment. That is a new term. In the past it was called the OTELA, but they've transitioned to now calling it the OELPA. And that is for all of our English language learners in grades K through 12. It will be taken online. Many of our assessments this year, as you're aware, we've been migrating towards taking them online. And this is yet another assessment that will be online starting in February and March is the test window. And it focuses on assessing reading, writing, speaking, and listening. The alternative assessment for students with significant cognitive disabilities is also another assessment. That's for our students that are on IEPs, our special education students that specifically, it's written into their IEP that they are not going to be taking the Ohio state test, but this alternative state assessment. And the results of this does go into our district report card and it does affect our performance index. And that again is across all grade levels. The next, in the elementary, I want to highlight the Terra Nova InView. The Terra Nova is an achievement test. The InView is an ability test. This, in the past, we have given this in grades 2 and 6, but at the same time, we've transitioned over the last 2 years to give this test in grades 2 and 5 only. One of the reasons why we were looking to do this in the elementary school, specifically in grade 5, is that this information will be utilized by our middle schoolers. So when our students transition to the middle school and we're looking at class placements, et cetera, we'll have that data going into 6th grade. In the past, it was given in the spring of 6th grade year, and really we needed it before our kids went on to the middle school. Along with the InView, though, know that parents will get a CSI score, Cognitive Scale Index, which is like an IQ equivalent. And for our English language learners, in lieu of the InView, we want to level the playing field and make sure that we get quality results and we're able to inform our parents about students' achievement levels and their ability. We give the INAT. That is, again, in grades 2 and 5. So the INAT is in lieu of the InView. And those reports are also given to our parents. Here about 2 weeks ago, I went over in 2 different parent meetings with our parents that speak English as a second language. And I'm very pleased to say we had tremendous turnout. It wasn't just because of that I was presenting, trust me. But it was really neat to be able to be there communicating to our English language learner parents. We had probably around 40 parents at each of these events. One was in the morning, one was held in the evening. And it truly looked like the United Nations because everyone had their headphones on. We had translators. 98% of the participants we had to translate for them, but we were able to translate in their native language. And we were able to break down assessments for them and communicate what we were doing with that. Also in the elementary, we have the Ohio State test. This is for students in grades 3 through 5. In the past, we've been transitioning to online. This year we will be fully online. We did give an online test in December for reading, which was a required assessment, and we'll be giving that again to our 3rd graders, a second opportunity for them to show proficient levels in reading because of the 3rd grade reading guarantee. You can also see the breakdown of the other assessments in grades 3, 4, and 5. Always focusing on English language arts, mathematics, but at the same time in grade 4, social studies, and grade 5, we add science. In the middle school, we continue with the Ohio State tests, again taken online in April. Grade 6 is when we come back to social studies, and then in 8th grade we add science back in there as well. So social studies and science is given at 2 different times between the elementary and middle school years. The Ohio graduation test, we are sunsetting that in our state, so this really affects our students that were slated to graduate in 2016 and 17. Students took this in October. They will take it again in March. Students must pass all 5 parts of the Ohio graduation test. However, there are some conditions in which they could pass 4 and not the 5th. There's a lot of, it could get really deep into that, but know that what we're doing with every student that has not passed the Ohio graduation test or tests, we are engaging them individually. We're developing plans for each of those students to ensure that they have every possibility to graduate within the parameters that we're able to by the Ohio Department of Education. I'll give you one example. Just recently, actually took effect January of this calendar year. Students that take the Ohio graduation test in March, they also have an opportunity that they could take the Ohio State test as yet another opportunity to show competency and proficiency. So, for example, if a student had not passed the science OGT, they could take the biology Ohio State test in April. If a student didn't pass the reading OGT, they could take the English 1 and/or English 2 Ohio State test. I only mention this because there's many opportunity and paths to graduation, and we are constantly looking and working with every student to match up what we can do to support them so that we can get them to graduate and go on for college and careers. The Ohio State test, that is taken in April. By the way, the Ohio graduation test is still paper pencil. I don't believe they'll transition because that is sunsetting to online, but the Ohio State test is taken online. Again, that'll be in April, and you can see the content areas there: geometry, algebra 1, English 1, English 2, American history, American government, and biology. Last year, the state started the sciences with physical science, but that was quickly replaced by biology. So while that's still on the books, that's an opportunity for kids that may have taken physical science in the past. They could take that physical science again, or they could also take the biology. So many options that our students have to graduate. And it's our job, we feel, to make sure that we inform our parents as well as our students what those options are. As part of the online assessments, we need to make sure that our infrastructure is ready. So we have a real-time technology analysis being performed this Friday, February 26th. We've communicated this out via email to our staff members on a couple of different occasions. We've also sent this out one call now in our district through Greg Vibrand's office. And we're actually going to reduce streaming video and audio, as well as turn off our guest network so that we can do a real-time technology analysis during the school day to replicate what we'll be doing the day of our online assessments. We're going to be testing between 2,000 and 4,500 students all at one time during different parts when we're testing online. We need to make sure our infrastructure, our web interface is ready for that load, and this is just one way in which we're being proactive and taking steps to do that. Also, it's always wonderful to partner with our parent groups, and this is an example. We're partnering with Parent Council, and on Tuesday, March the 15th, from 6:30 to 8 at Westerville Central High School, we're going to be providing our parents an opportunity to come and learn about not only the assessments, but when they get the reports, what they mean. So I'll be facilitating that, and I plan to break down actually more from my perspective as a parent's perspective, that when I get these reports, what am I zeroing in on to learn about my student? These parent reports, there is so much information that's contained within them, and they can be very overwhelming. And I want to zero in, again, it's from my perspective, but as the Director of Assessment, I get that opportunity, I guess. I'm going to zero in specifically on what I look for and suggest to parents what they look for as well. So that'll be that opportunity on March the 15th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And information is going out on that through press releases. We have it in newsletters. Hopefully tonight we'll get some more attention with all the people that watch this on our cable television. And also, but you can go online and register. Yes, you can just show up, but it would be helpful if we knew how many people were coming so that we don't produce too many handouts. And also expect to know how many are coming. We have an opportunity to register through Google Forms we're using for that. So with that, that is Spring 2016 assessment. And yes, I can go over it in 5 minutes. You realize, of course, how much time it took to get us to this point.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any questions? Clarification?
Last year, we had a lot of discussion around the assessments, and I want to let you know how much I appreciate the time you spent talking about that. I also really appreciate that 26-page document. This sounds really geeky, but it's hanging on my fridge. Yeah, my family walks in and says, why? But it matters to me, thank you. What are the biggest differences that you see, in a nutshell, for our kids and our families from last year? What would you say are the biggest differences?
Well, the biggest difference is the fact that we're going to be transitioning to online. But you know, the thing that I celebrate the most is the state figured out that 2 different assessment windows doesn't work. That they've narrowed it. We've reduced the amount of time that our students are going to be testing. And specifically, across all grade levels, the ability for us to focus on what we do really well, and that's instruct our students. And yes, we will assess them, but we're going to do that one time during the year for the state, and that's in April.
Thank you, Scott.
And I'm going to follow up by saying the biggest struggle has been getting the results from last year to match up between the first and the second test administration.
Really?
Yeah, and we're still working on that. We're getting closer to kind of finalizing that. But I will celebrate, now I'm going to come back to the celebration. We had 0 discrepancies in the past 2 test administrations in December and in our high school assessments that we performed. So the grade 3 and the high school assessments, 0 discrepancies. When we got everything back and narrowed down what we could, we had over 300 from last school year. And this year we have 0. So I think
That's great.
there's a lot of things going right for us with that, and hopefully we'll have 0 after this next round.
Any additional questions? If not, the only remark that I would make is I'm glad that we're getting out ahead of the curve and stress testing our environment for the load of online testing. Great forward thinking, excellent planning to do that. I really think that we're going to have gains in productivity and efficiency by being, almost completely online. We know that we would have situations where a paper test is needing to be administered for, whatever the situation may be for the student. But the vast majority online, I think, is going to be a huge time savings for teachers and students as well. So I'm glad that we're getting a chance to see if our infrastructure is ready for it before we get to the testing window.
Our teaching and learning roadmap that we've been working off of for the last, 2.5, 3 years has put us in a position that we are now where we have the number of devices for us to even move forward with that. So it's a credit to our organization. I believe that we are at this point, we've gone from 0 Chromebooks to, I believe, almost 7,000 in a very short amount of time. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't know how much we can push the assessment literacy night for parents, but whatever we can do to push that, encourage people to attend, that would be, I think, hugely helpful, because I think your comment, I think we'd agree, the comment when we get these in the mail, there really is a lot of information there. And if you and your team that night can help parents, here, look for these pieces. You can read the whole thing, do read the whole thing, but look for these pieces. So I just thought it, I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the update.